Welcome to the kill-death ratio, where I count every kill and every death. Today, I'm playing Resident Evil 4. Released for the GameCube in 2005, Resident Evil 4 scrapped the slower pace of its predecessors in favor of more action-oriented gameplay, which means far more kills to count, so let's get to it. I choose normal difficulty as Leon recaps the events of the previous games. After Raccoon City went boom, the US government killed Umbrella through crashing stock prices instead of, actually doing something about it. 6 years later, we catch up with Leon in Spain on a mission to find Ashley Graham, the president's kidnapped daughter. Leon is driven into a mysterious village by his two guides who have been giving off some weird vibes.
We'll stay and watch that car. Don't want to get any parking tickets.
As soon as we get out of the car, we're introduced to Ingrid Hunnigan, who helps Leon with intel along the way. I take control of Leon and walk up to a nearby house to find this serious fellow tending to his fire. Leon approaches the villager, who does a quick 270 for no reason. Leon asks if he's seen Ashley, prompting him to yell at Leon to get the hell out in Spanish, and then he shows him his axe. Intense music kicks in and we take control again to get our first kill of the game. There's a hell of a racket outside, so let's go check it out. Resident Evil 4 was the first game in the series to feature a new main enemy type outside of zombies, instead using ganados, which roughly translates to livestock. I quickly dispatch 3 of them and head up the path to find my first typewriter. No ink ribbons required, as Capcom ditched those to conserve space for guns and ammo. We do get this kick-ass save theme though. Further down the path, I release this good boy from a trap, and if you don't, you're a goddamn monster. I proceed and I take out 4 more ganados before entering the village. Here, we see one of our tour guides got more than just a parking ticket. Ooh, chicken! I go down the side path and sneak into this house to grab all the ammo and grenades inside. I begin a survival sequence by shooting this lone maiden and leading the entire village on a chase. The goal is to survive for a few minutes as the village descends upon me. I don't actually need to kill anyone here to get by, but I take out 3 with a grenade, shoot 1 down with my handgun, and then I blow this dude's mind. The bell tolls, signaling all ganados it's dinner time.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Or that. I explore the village to grab any items I missed, and in the process add this cow and a chicken to the count before happening upon a farm where 5 more ganados lurk. Afterwards, it takes 3 ganados to do what 1 Chris Redfield can accomplish, sending a boulder after Leon and making us mash X until we dodge it completely and then cap off the adrenaline rush with a quadruple kill. Inside this dilapidated cabin, a banging noise rings out. Leon opens a wardrobe, but there's no lion or witch. There's a Spanish man named Luis Serra. They barely get acquainted when the big cheese enters. Leon gives him a kick and in return gets tossed across the room like a child. Sometime later, we see Leon tied up getting injected with something by this Palpatine looking ass. Leon and Louise wake up tied together. Luckily, Louise provides some intel on where to find Ashley when this bloodied up ganado comes in and frees them. What a nice guy. Leon thanks him with a snap of the neck and we're let loose in the village again when a strange face pops up. Behind the house is the merchant, who has the features of a ganado but is essential to Leon's success.
Got something that might interest you.
Wait, don't show me the— oh, thank God. Beyond the large gate lies a location crawling with enemies. I snipe 7 from a distance and then spend several minutes wiping out 32 ganados using various methods. I put 11 more ganados to rest on my way back to the village, and along the way, I find a pool of water with fish where I add 5 of those to the count, bringing my total to 80 and already eclipsing my kill total from Resident Evil 1. At the end of the path, we enter a house to hear Spanish chatter when this big-ass motherfucker uses sneak attack. As he chokes Leon, he sees his eyes turn red and in a moment of love, drops him. Ingrid calls, advising Leon we've encountered a cult called the Los Illuminados, but I'm not over the choking and go after the big cheese in his public masturbator trench coat. He was waiting for us and tosses Leon to the ground again, but Ada Wong shows up and gets his attention, then grapples her way out of the situation like Batman. I head downstairs and pop into the bathroom where I find a ganado taking a leak. And unfortunately for him, I spring a leak in his other head. I head outside where a welcome party awaits. I blind them and then run until I come up on the church. I kill a crow here, sending 2 nearby ganados into a frenzy, and then I do God's work cleaning up around the church, but it's locked, so I continue to the right onto this janky ass bridge where 4 more ganados and 1 snake meet their end. I encounter a murder of crows that gets, well, murdered, increasing my count to over 100. There's some ominous growling noises beyond that large door, but we ain't got time for that right now. After another boulder dash, I find myself in a little fishing village littered with enemies of the ganado and reptilian nature, adding 23 of them to the count. Except for this guy who just expedited the inevitable. After a brief break from the action, I watch as 2 ganados toss the body of one of Leon's guides into the water and a massive creature swallows him whole. That sets us up for our first boss fight against Del Lago, a giant mutated salamander. As Leon crosses the lake, it attacks, knocking the anchor down off the side and hooking onto it, dragging us behind it and into the obstacles floating in the water. Using the infinite amount of harpoons, Leon continually throws them into it until it starts looking like a voodoo doll of someone you really hate and succumbs to its injuries. Leon coughs up some blood and faints, and after a peculiar dream wakes up. Continuing forward, we encounter a new enemy type, the Plaga, that bursts through and replaces the head in its hosts. I down 2 enemies and snipe the guy down below. After a brief puzzle, I unlock the opening behind the waterfall, prompting this hilarious sequence. Afraid of COVID, I take out 3 bats with my knife inside the cave before backtracking. Now I get to fight the roaring creature, El Gigante, that shows off its strength against the ganados that released it. If you're an irredeemable monster and did not save the dog earlier, then you won't get any help during this fight. This good frickin' boy distracts him, allowing me to damage it enough until the Plaga bursts from its back so I can get a little stabby. I hit the wrong button, however, prompting El Gigante to pluck me off his back and toss me on the ground for the first death of the game. I reload and this time succeed in cutting down the giant. In a cruel turn, after being helped by one good boy, I'm greeted by 3 bad ones by the church. Once inside, I finally reach Ashley Graham, voiced by Carolyn Lawrence, the voice of Sandy Cheeks in SpongeBob. On the ground level, Osmond Sadler reveals he injected both of us with the Plaga, so we promptly exit via window. But outside, ganados await. I eliminate 5 by way of wagon and get a double headshot before re-entering the village. I stash Ashley away and get chewed out before taking on more enemies.
Oh, you pervert!
After we're done clearing the village, a big group heads our way. Leon and Ashley take shelter in a nearby cabin where Luisera resides. And after a brief chat, the crowd of ganados approaches and starts breaking in. Ashley goes to hide and I leave Luis to cover the downstairs. After a few minutes, we successfully defend against the onslaught, emerging 26 kills richer than before. For seemingly no reason, they stop attacking, which triggers Louis' memory.
Forgot something. You guys go on ahead.
What the fuck? Next, we have to choose the left path or the right path to proceed. I choose the right path, which is occupied by another giant. Instead of fighting it, we run, but I mess up and allow it to brutally kill Ashley. And while this is cause for failure, I won't count it as a death. It's just Ashley after all. I choose the right path again, and this time grab the key I need before El Gigante gets smashy. Beyond that door, we need to take a gondola into the next area, so I snipe a couple ganados and send 11 more to their doom as Ashley fist pumps each death. On the ground, I add 4 more, then continue down the path and approach this creepy barn. The world's sneakiest big man waits for us and locks us in. I make the fatal mistake of looking away from my screen when a QTE hits, giving me my second death of the game. This time I dodge it and watch Bitors Mendez's spine grow twice its original size. Eventually, I sever his spine, but he's got back arms he uses to swing around with. Several shots later, he goes down and his juicy eyeball rolls out. Gross, dude. With the big cheese dead, it's time to leave the village, but on our way out are more granados. I snipe them and then take down the remaining enemies that spill out of the back of the truck as we run by it. As we approach the castle, another large group of ganados follows us up the path. We lift the bridge and leave the village behind us for good. Inside the castle, I add another danger noodle to the count. And upstairs, I snipe the 2 ganados up above and eliminate 2 of the catapults using barrels, but then I fuck up and I get Ashley killed again. Whatever, she deserved it. I restart the area, adding these 2 again, and make the mistake of leaving Ashley behind this time while they release the catapults. I only add 1 more before she's kidnapped and it's game over. Third time's the charm as I add 9 kills to my count and somehow survive this shit and then blow up the gate. As we enter the castle, we lose our connection to Ingrid, which is unlucky for them since it's not exactly a fair fight as I take out 11 with ease. We run into Louise again, but this dude is so forgetful as he promptly leaves to go find the drug he dropped that can get the Plagas out of us. We can't enter the main part of the castle without a key. 16 kills later, I exceed the total kill count in both Resident Evil 1 and 2. We find the key to enter the main hall, and can you introduce yourself, sir?
Me llamo Ramon Salas.
No thanks, bro.
After that rude interruption, Ramon Salazar locks the main gate behind him, sending us off to the side to meet this Daredevil Wolverine combination, the Garrador. With its eyes sewn shut, we can confuse it with bells to get free shots of the parasite on its back, but it gets a free shot of Leon's neck as it takes me down for my 3rd death. Next time around, I quickly dispatch it along with the 7 enemies awaiting us after the fight. The next room is littered with enemies, as waves of ganados rocking shields and morning stars flood out of nearby doors. I increase my kill count by 25 before accidentally handily killing Ashley with a grenade, which forces me to restart the entire area again. This time I emerge with 27 kills before having to defend Ashley as she helps unlock the way forward. I deal with the Ganados on my own level, while I snipe the ones trying to kidnap her. Once she's finished, we proceed, and after a coughing fit, Ashley runs off like an idiot and gets taken again. We get a call from none other than our little friend Salazar, who tries to intimidate us, but Leon says it best.
Boredom kills me.
Down in the sewers, we encounter the Novistador, a human-insect hybrid a la Jeff Goldblum that has the ability to camouflage itself like a predator. Keep your eyes peeled and you can see them and get the jump on them before they can ever get close. I take down 11 of these things and climb back up into the castle. I hear a group of this shitty cult chanting, so I break it up with a poorly placed grenade that kills only one Ganado. After finding out Salazar is the one responsible for releasing Las Plagas and enabling Lord Sadler, I take out 9 more Ganados on my way to another chat with Ramon. That prompts a fight that increases my count to over 375. Outside, we find ourselves in a maze that Salazar seems to think is huge, but that might have to do with his stature. Within the maze are 8 Comillos I take down before grabbing the items I need to unlock the door up above. Right inside, Leon and Ada fight in the Matrix before Ada confirms she's working for Albert Wesker and then pieces out using this James Bond-ass gadget. Nearby, I get attacked by a snake, but it's immune to knives, so I shoot it instead. In the next room over, I get locked in this cage, which is their mistake, as I take down 9 Ganados, a Garrador, and 2 of these face-hugging Plagas. I continue my killing spree and get my total kill count over 400. As I continue my search for Ashley, I run into Louise, who gets pierced by Sadler's scorpion dick. Ew, dude. Even in death, Louise Serra is a real bro and hands over the good shit to suppress the Plaga within Leon. From miles away, I can hear Ashley's annoying screeching. Help! So I quickly release her to give my ears a break, but Ganados descend upon her, forcing me to shoot them all down. Once that's finished, Ashley grabs the key they dropped and we transition into playing as her. She doesn't have her weapon, so I dodge the first Ganado and crawl into the next room. There are lanterns we can throw to take out the Ganado so Ashley can contribute to the overall kill total. After some puzzle solving, we hear some heavy metal clunking, and as I turn around, a motherfucking suit of armor is charging right at me. I breeze by them, but they lie in wait and swing at me as I pass by. Leon and Ashley are reunited and they just walk by Luis's corpse without saying anything. That's some cold-hearted shit. I pull a Scarface on these 4 Ganados before backtracking to get a free Magnum. There are 2 more Ganados waiting for us as we go further into the castle. We find ourselves in a room where the floor is actually lava, and 12 Ganados meet their doom. From there, we take a trolley to the next section where Ramon Salazar leads us into a trap and runs off giggling like a little schoolboy. Once we stop the spikes, we're not quite safe because 2 Ganados are driving a modified tractor. I immediately snipe them and then move across the hall where I deal with the Armaduras. I make quick work of the vanguard blocking the path forward, being led by this snake. As we walk under this giant hive, Ashley is kidnapped for the umpteenth time and I increase my count by 7. We make it outside where Salazar calls to do some light taunting before I take out all the Ganados outside, inside, and then outside this tower, where my kill total is now more than the previous Resident Evil games combined. Inside, Salazar left a welcoming party, and after a couple minutes, I kill them all and move into the next room, where Salazar pulls some James Bond villain shit and drops Leon through the floor. But Leon is a crafty sumbitch and uses a grappling hook we've literally never seen before. This pisses Salazar off, who sends his right hand after us.
Your right hand comes off?
While the game lost its horror elements after we left the village, this next section can be pretty damn tense unless you use a motherfucking RPG! As Leon goes down the elevator, we cut to Sadler talking to the Street Fighter reject Jack Krauser. This next section sees Leon navigate through a mine shaft where presumably the locals uncovered Las Plagas and became infected by it. There's a lot of enemies, but not a lot of exposition, allowing me to add a lot of Ganados and Novistadors alongside a couple more El Gigantes and my first Dr. Salvador kill of the game. Outside, we find a letter from Ada giving intel on a way to remove the parasite inside Ashley and Leon. Beyond the merchant, I take out another 11 Ganados before climbing down the ladder into another underground area littered with 15 additional enemies. I run into another spike trap, so I hastily eliminate the Plaga using a flash grenade and stop the trap from turning me into a Leon sandwich. Next up is a trip to Disney World on the Seven Dwarfs minecart ride, but with a twist. We get to shoot things. During the cart ride, please keep your hands and feet inside at all times, otherwise you'll be brutally run over by the carts and added to the tally. Chilling in the back is the easiest approach as I increase my count by 25. The cart flies off the ledge and we use a QTE to make the jump, then another one to die. Let's run it back. This time, I get 28 total kills and successfully make the jump. Now we have what we need to get back inside the castle to gaze upon this work of modern art. Before I can cross the bridge, the ganados in here lower it into the water, making it impassable. I kill all 16 of them before one of the most ridiculous things in all of Resident Evil takes place. I outrun the stupid fucking statue to Salazar's applause, which isn't very appreciated, so I toss my knife into his hand and make the widow cast to Wong Kwai. He runs off, leaving me to climb the tower fighting waves of enemies before I can make him pay for that statue sequence. I head upstairs, utilizing the barrels to take fools out, but as I go higher, I'm forced to use my array of weapons to defend myself. Eventually, I get murked by a plaga, which means I get to do this all over again. I emerged from the tower 50 kills and 1 death richer than before. Finally, I can take on Ramon Salazar, who, unlike a lot of Resident Evil bosses, doesn't explode and morph into a giant monster, and instead he's swallowed up and turns into a giant monster. Major difference. I run to the right side to minimize the amount of tentacles I need to dodge, and after roughly 5 minutes, Salazar is finished off with a rifle shot to the head. The real fight has yet to begin though, as another snake waits for me outside. Ashley was transported to a nearby island, so naturally Ada is waiting to take me there, but in classic Ada fashion, she Dark Knights her way off the boat, leaving Leon all to himself yet again. After a brief chat with Sadler dissing Salazar posthumously, I move forward to take out the garrison defending the entrance, including these yoked up meatheads. Beyond that are 19 more enemies I expedite to hell, and add to the kill total while this team killing sumbitch blows his own guys up. After another 8 kills, a new enemy is introduced, but as far as I can tell, there isn't an official name for them, so I dub him Soldier with Hammer, and I snipe his face off. You too, bitch! I can hear Ashley's incessant screaming from here, making me rage and get a few more kills. Now, I'm about to encounter by far the scariest enemy in the entire game. After grabbing a key, the music kicks in along with a slow, labored breathing. The door opens and a regenerator saunters his way in, swinging them juicy thighs around. Damn, that boy thick. The only way to kill them is by destroying the plagas in their body so they can't regenerate. But we can't see where they're at quite yet, so I blast it in the leg, get an extreme hickey before leaving, and then avoid the other regenerator in the next hallway and head into the freezer. In here, I find the infrared scope. I attach it to my rifle just in time for a regenerator to fall down and allow me to use it as a test subject. I don't stay around to finish the kill here, but there is one blocking my path forward. In the next room, the Claw has chosen and drops these 2 ganados into a pit of death, and finish off the other 2 with a bang. Even though Ashley is in the next room over, we can't get to her quite yet, forcing me to kill a lot more enemies, including another new enemy type called the Iron Maiden. Excellent! They behave just like a regenerator, but they have spikes and a plaga on their back you need to kill to finish them off for good. I head up to the control tower to attempt to make contact with somebody to no avail, so I head back towards Ashley and increase my count along the way. With Ashley in tow, a fresh batch of enemies shows their faces. I make speedy work of them before Leon grabs Ashley's hand and we go dumpster diving.
I knew you'd be fine if you landed on your butt.
I eliminate a couple Iron Maidens and a small group of Ganados before I have Ashley man the wrecking ball. I miraculously don't get a kill here, but I do succeed in getting Ashley straight up murked by the hammer guys. I reload the game, kill this group again, and this time succeed in smashing the wall in and increasing my kill total to over 800. On our way out, we encounter another 2 regenerators before finding this big ass Tonka truck. Ashley gets behind the wheel while I take advantage of the easy kills and rack them up. Eventually, we get stuck, which means Leon needs to get out of the truck and unstick us. I kill another 3 before getting Ashley killed for the 5th time. This time, I prevail in moving the truck forward and adding a lot more Ganados to my count. We run into Sadler again, who uses the Force to stop Leon in his tracks. Using his powers, he turns Ashley's eyes red, while Leon tosses a tracker on her back that is perfectly hidden and sure to never be seen. We cut to Krauser and Ada having a pleasant chat.
You know, I met Wesker long before you.
We'll see soon enough if you did.
What the fuck does that even mean? Anyways, here I go killing again. Then we get a sweet 80s style fight scene with Krauser as they chat casually during a knife fight. Krauser lets slip that Umbrella is still operational before attempting to kill Leon, but luckily Ada comes to our rescue. She quickly bounces as I receive a call from Sadler, who wants to introduce me to Pennywise. Then suddenly, I find myself in the first Resident Evil movie dodging lasers until I'm not. After getting through the laser, we come up on a giant hanging cage when the wall bursts open to reveal the It Sadler was alluding to. This monstrosity is simply known as U3. Stuck in tight quarters, we dodge its attacks while finding the necessary buttons to unlock the doors. Each time we move forward, one cage drops into the abyss until eventually we make it on solid ground. U3 won't die that easily though, as it races up and onto the platform, eventually succumbing to my onslaught of grenades and bullets. Shortly after that, 6 more Ganados fall as I head into my fight with Krauser, who can take a bullet just fine, but as soon as he gets sliced by a knife, he freaks out and blinds us. He pops up for skirmishes here and there as we collect slabs to unlock the way forward. Before our actual fight with him, Krauser sends these stupid little robots after us that exist solely to increase our kill count. Finally, we face off against a mutated Krauser on top of a tower with very limited time since he rigged this whole area to explode. I kill him just in time to run down and place the slabs in their place before the whole place explodes. With Krauser dead, we enter the final stretch, but this time we have help.
Pretty bad traffic.
What kind of fucking excuse is that? The helicopter somehow sneaks up on the Ganados and knocks the water tower loose. Nonsense aside, Mikey's help is appreciated as he assists in killing the massive group of enemies that lie between Leon and Sadler. I still leave here with plenty of kills myself as I get my total over the 900 mark, but unfortunately Mike, the anthropomorphic helicopter, gets blasted by an RPG, sending him down into the rocks below in a fiery blaze. A whole lot more enemies are between me and Sadler, and we still need to save Ashley and myself from the plagas inside us. The island is completely overrun with enemies, and it's this game's weakest point, despite some cool creature design in the regenerators and U3. I run through here with plenty of ammo, and even earn another death to get my total death tally up to 7, and exceed my death total in the previous 3 games combined. After that massive killing spree, we run into Sadler and get a little help from Ada to help save Ashley. Sadler shits out some bullets and stares at Leon with straight lust. And can you really blame him? After a few more kills, Leon and Ashley perform surgery on each other to remove the plaga from our bodies before it completely takes us over and turns us into minions of Sadler. Now that they're gone, we can now face off against Sadler without his force powers bothering us. But first we find a letter containing the entire plan of the Los Illuminados to take over the United States and eventually the world, and I gotta be honest, their plan fucking sucks, and they should feel bad about it. It's our turn to save Ada and kill this loser. Ugh, gross. After 6 minutes of downing Monster Sadler and stabbing that hideous eyeball of his, Ada tosses a rocket launcher our way that we use for the final kill of the game. With Sadler dead, we retrieve the plaga sample, but that's what Ada was waiting for. She nabs it and flies away like the angel of annoyance she is. She sets the entire island to explode, forcing Leon and Ashley to make like a tree and leave. Conveniently, there's a jet ski waiting for us so we can ride out of here, but I die twice before we make our exit. Once outside of the blast radius, Ashley offers to reward Leon for his efforts.
How about we do some overtime?
Sorry.
Oh shit, Leon. They ride off into the sunset as we swim into the final numbers. I finished the game 9 kills shy of 1000. The endgame stat screen shows a lot less at 878. I'm not exactly sure where the discrepancy comes from outside of some animals not counting, but I suspect they reset the kill counter after deaths. Maybe someone in the comments can let me know. They also count each Ashley death and kidnapping towards my total, but I died 9 times and failed Ashley 6 times, which won't officially count towards my total. There's many ways to kill the vast amounts of enemies in the game, providing us with this crazy graph. With 991 kills and 9 deaths, that makes my kill death ratio 110.1. This was by far the longest Resident Evil game, clocking in at 14 hours and 6 minutes, which still gives me a ridiculous kill on average every 51 seconds and a death once every 94 minutes. Released in 2005, Resident Evil 4 is a landmark in video game history. It renewed interest in the Resident Evil franchise as audiences were growing tired of the same formula. It was a massive influence on survival horror and third-person shooters, directly inspiring games like Dead Space, Gears of War, and The Last of Us. While some fans of the franchise cite Resident Evil 4 as the turning point for the worse due to its less serious tone and over-the-top action, it can't be denied as one of the most influential and important games of all time. Even 17 years later, the game holds up remarkably well. I'm really interested in the approach the upcoming remake will take and look forward to covering that game in March. Next up is Resident Evil 5, so be sure to stay tuned for that, as I expect the kill count to be similar or even exceed what we got in this game. I'm King Deschain, signing off for now.